He was hired to drive her around Lagos, not to make her forget how to breathe. Daniela Okafor stood on the mansion's balcony, her silk robe fluttering like rebellion in the morning wind. Her father's new driver stood below, tall, dark-skinned, and quiet, his crisp white shirt clinging to a body that didn't look like it belonged to a man who lived by instructions. His name was Kelechi. She'd heard the staff whisper about him. Disciplined, mysterious, never smiles. "My father said you're the new driver?" she asked, coming down the stairs with a subtle smirk. "Yes, Ma," he replied, voice low and calm. He didn't meet her eyes. That irritated her. Men always looked. Men always stumbled over their words. But this one didn't flinch, even when she let her robe slide a little lower over her shoulder. "I don't like boring men," she said carelessly, circling him. "I hope you're not one." "I'm not here to entertain you, Ma," he said, still steady. That sentence stuck. No one ever spoke to her like that. For the first time, Daniela didn't feel like the boss's daughter. She felt like a woman being studied by danger itself. All day, she found excuses to watch him. The way he drove, smooth, unhurried. The way he spoke to her father, firm, respectful. The way his eyes never strayed, not even when her short dress rode up as she stepped out of the car. But that night, something strange happened. She saw him again, shirtless in the garage, fixing the car lights under the dim security bulb. Sweat trickled down his chest, and she froze in the shadows, her heart pounding louder than the crickets. When he looked up, their eyes locked. For a second, neither moved. Then she whispered, "Good night." He replied softly, "You shouldn't be here, Ma." She should have walked away. But she didn't. Because deep down, she knew something dangerous had just begun. The next morning smelled of money and mischief. Daniela walked down the marble steps in a lemon-colored sundress that fluttered just enough to test a man's focus. The new driver waited beside the black SUV, white shirt tucked crisply into dark trousers, eyes hidden behind simple sunglasses. He looked carved, too composed for someone standing in front of temptation. "Morning, Ma," he said, opening the door. "My father said I'm running errands today, right?" She smiled as she slid into the back seat, her perfume filling the air like a soft threat. "Good. I was starting to miss the view of Lagos and you." He said nothing, shut the door, and walked around to the driver's side. "You don't talk much, Kelechi," she said as the car glided out of the compound. "Is that part of the job description, or just your personality?" "I speak when I'm spoken to, Ma." She laughed lightly. "Then I suppose you're speaking now." He didn't answer. His silence wasn't timid. It was control, and it made her pulse quicken. She leaned forward slightly. "Relax," she whispered. "I don't bite unless provoked." The ghost of a smile almost touched his lips. Almost. Traffic slowed near Lekki. Sunlight poured through the windshield, kissing the side of his face. She studied him in the rear-view mirror. The faint scar under his jaw, the curve of muscles shifting beneath his shirt. He caught her gaze, held it a second too long, then looked away. "Tell me something," she said softly. "Do you ever break rules?" His hands tightened on the steering wheel. "Only when the rule deserves to be broken." Her lips parted. The city noise outside faded until there was only the sound of their breaths. "Good answer," she murmured. When they reached the boutique, he stepped out quickly to open her door. She moved slower this time, letting her fingers graze his arm as she passed. Electricity. He froze but didn't pull away. Inside, she made him follow her from rack to rack, holding up dresses against her body. "Which one looks better on me?" "I'm not sure I should answer that, Ma." "Then pretend you're not my driver," she teased. "Pretend you're just a man." His voice dropped. "That would be dangerous." "Why?" "Because I'd tell you the red one." His eyes lifted briefly, meeting hers. "It's distracting." Heat rushed through her. For the first time, Daniela forgot to breathe. Later, on the drive home, silence hung thick between them. She watched his reflection again, waiting for him to look back, but he kept his gaze on the road. "You could at least pretend you find me attractive," she said finally. "I don't have to pretend," he replied quietly. "That's the problem." Her heart skipped. Then maybe you should stop resisting it. He turned into the mansion driveway and parked, jaw clenched. When he came around to open her door, she didn't move. Instead, she looked up at him, eyes soft, voice trembling with challenge. What if I make it your job to want me? He leaned closer, close enough for her to smell the soap on his skin, but stopped just short of touching her. Don't play with fire, Daniela, he murmured. You'll get burned. She smiled faintly. Maybe I like the heat. For a heartbeat, the world disappeared. Then he stepped back, slammed the door gently, and walked away without another word. That night she lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying every glance, every word, every moment he'd almost lost control. She didn't know which scared her more, the thought that he might finally touch her, or that he never would. By the third week, the mansion had become a maze of tension. Every corridor held a memory of stolen glances. Every reflection reminded Daniela of his hands gripping the steering wheel like he was holding back sin itself. Her father had traveled to Abuja for business, leaving only staff, silence, and temptation behind. That evening, rain lashed against the windows as thunder rolled across the sky. Daniela sat in the living room, pretending to read, but her eyes drifted toward the driveway. The headlights of the SUV glowed faintly as Kelechi wiped it dry beneath the porch light. Something inside her snapped. She dropped the book, slipped on her silk robe, and stepped out barefoot into the rain. Kelechi. He turned, startled. The rain slicked his shirt against his chest, water dripping down his neck. Ma, you shouldn't be out here. Then tell me why I am, she shot back. Tell me why I can't sleep without hearing that car engine outside, why I keep looking for your shadow, even when I don't want to. He froze, breathing unevenly. You don't know what you're saying. I do, she whispered. I want you. He took a step back. Daniela, this can't happen. I work for your father. Then quit. Her voice cracked. If that's what it takes. The wind howled between them. Kelechi looked at her like a man standing on the edge of a cliff, knowing one more step meant falling forever. He reached for her hand, but before their fingers met, lightning split the sky. Somewhere inside, a door creaked. The housekeeper's footsteps echoed faintly. They both froze. Inside, he said quickly, guiding her toward the garage. She followed, shivering, rain clinging to her hair and skin. Under the dim bulb, silence swallowed them. He turned away, trying to regain composure, but she stepped closer until their breath mingled. Say you don't want me, she dared him. Say it, and I'll stop. He looked at her, eyes burning, jaw trembling, and finally exhaled. I can't. That was all it took. Her lips found his, hungry, desperate, trembling with everything they'd tried to hide. He responded like a man starved, pulling her closer, his hands on her waist, her robe damp against his palms. The kiss deepened, reckless, dangerous, the kind that could destroy both of them. When he finally tore away, they were both shaking. This is wrong, he breathed. Then why does it feel like breathing? She replied softly. He stared at her, and for a fleeting second, he almost smiled. Then a voice echoed faintly from inside the house. Daniela? Her father's voice. She froze, eyes wide. He's back. Kelechi grabbed her wrist, whispering, Go upstairs. Now. She ran, barefoot, heart pounding as thunder roared again. From her window, she saw her father's car in the driveway. Unexpected, early. And beside him, a man she didn't recognize, tall, bald, wearing a police uniform. Something wasn't right. Downstairs, Kelechi stood in the shadows, his face unreadable. As he watched her father step out of the car, the lightning flashed again, and for a moment, the scar beneath Kelechi's jaw glinted like a secret waiting to explode. The night that started with desire was about to end with danger. The air in the mansion changed overnight. Daniela could feel it in the way the guards whispered, the way her father's footsteps echoed, heavier than usual. Something about Kelechi's presence unsettled him, and she could see it written across his frown. Where did you find this driver again? Her father asked one morning over breakfast. The agency, She lied quickly, pretending to sip her juice. Why? I don't trust quiet men, he said flatly. I ran his ID through my security contact in the police. They said there's something off. He used a different surname a few years ago. I want to know why. Daniela's stomach twisted. Maybe it's a mistake. Her father's eyes narrowed. You defend him that fast? What's going on between you two? Nothing, she snapped too quickly. His gaze lingered longer than comfort allowed, but he finally stood up and left the table, muttering about ungrateful children and unvetted staff. As soon as he was gone, Daniela rushed outside. She found Kelechi by the SUV, polishing the mirrors like always. Only this time, he wasn't humming under his breath like before. His face was distant. You need to tell me the truth, she whispered. Who are you really? He paused, staring at the reflection of her face in the car's mirror. It's better you don't know, Daniela. Too late, she shot back. My father's already digging. He exhaled, leaned against the car, and looked at her with eyes that carried storms. I wasn't always a driver. I worked in security, private contracts, sometimes dirty work. One job went wrong. Someone died. They said it was my fault, but it wasn't. I changed my name to disappear. Your father, he was the man who owned the company I worked for. She froze. My father? You worked for him? He nodded slowly. I was framed in one of his company's scandals. I came back here not for revenge, but for closure. Driving was the only way to get close. Her heart pounded. The danger she'd felt around him wasn't just attraction. It was history, guilt, pain. So, what happens now? She whispered. Now, he said softly. You pretend you don't know me. For your sake. But she shook her head. I can't. Not after everything. He stepped closer, voice rough. You don't understand. If your father finds out, he'll destroy me and you with me. Then we'll run, she said without thinking. We'll go far away from this house, this city, this life. For the first time, he smiled, but it was sad. You're too brave for a world that punishes love like ours. Behind them, the sound of footsteps made them both turn. Her father stood in the doorway, his expression dark as thunder. So, he said coldly, that's the truth. Kelechi moved instinctively in front of her, shielding her like a wall of calm danger. Sir, I can explain. No need. Her father cut in, voice sharp. I know exactly who you are, Mr. Obinna Kelechi. And this time, you won't get away. Security guards appeared behind him. Daniela grabbed Kelechi's hand. Run, she whispered. But he didn't. He stood tall, eyes locked on her father. If you hurt her, I'll burn the world for her. Her father's voice trembled with fury. You already burned enough lives, boy. Kelechi's jaw clenched. Then maybe it's time you remembered how it started. And with that, everything shattered. The lies, the mansion's peace, and the thin line that had separated danger from love. The mansion no longer felt like home. It felt like a trap dressed in marble. Every corridor whispered danger. Every whisper carried Kelechi's name. That night, Daniela could hear her father's voice echoing from the study, harsh, cold, full of betrayal. Find him before sunrise, he ordered his guards. And if my daughter tries to leave this compound, lock her in her room. But she was already one step ahead. In her room, Daniela stuffed a small travel bag, cash, her passport, a hoodie. Her hands trembled, not from fear, but from something fiercer, love mixed with defiance. At midnight, she slipped out the balcony door, barefoot, her heart hammering like a guilty drum. Down below, a shadow moved near the garage, tall, steady, waiting. Kelechi, she whispered. He turned. The dim light caught his face, tired but determined. You shouldn't be here, he said softly. She smiled weakly. You've been saying that since the first day. He looked at her, then at the bag in her hand. You're serious. They'll never stop, Kelechi. My father won't stop. If we stay, he'll destroy you. His jaw tightened. Running will make me guilty. Staying will get you killed. The rain began again, soft, then stronger. He took the bag from her hand, tossed it into the car, and said quietly, "Then we run." They moved fast, quiet as shadows, desperate as lovers. But as the gates came into view, two guards appeared, their flashlights slicing through the rain. Kelechi froze, eyes darting. "Get in the car," he whispered. "No, wait." He was already moving. In one fluid motion, he knocked one guard aside and disarmed the other, shoving him against the gate. It wasn't violence, it was survival. He didn't even look angry. Just calm. Controlled. Daniela stood frozen, drenched, watching a man risk everything for her. "Kelechi, hurry." The gate creaked open. They jumped into the car, tires screeching against the wet pavement. The city lights blurred behind them as they sped into the night. Inside the car, she reached for his hand, gripping it tightly. "Where do we go now?" "Somewhere they won't find us." "Do you even believe that's possible?" He looked at her, eyes soft but fierce. "I believe in you. That's enough for me." Her throat tightened. "You're risking your life, Kelechi." He smiled faintly, keeping his eyes on the road. "You were the only thing worth risking it for." But fate wasn't done testing them. In the distance, flashing blue lights cut through the rain. Police roadblock. Her father's influence had already reached the streets. Kelechi slowed the car, brain racing. "Hold on. What are you going to do?" "Whatever it takes to get you out of here alive." Before she could protest, he veered sharply off the main road, down a narrow, muddy path that led into the dense outskirts of Lekki. The rain swallowed their tracks, and for the first time that night, silence returned. They didn't speak again until dawn. When they finally stopped near an abandoned guest house at the edge of the city, Kelechi turned off the engine. Daniela leaned against him, exhausted. "We did it," she whispered. He didn't answer immediately. His eyes stayed on the horizon, where the first light broke through the clouds. "For now," he murmured. "But love like ours never escapes without a price." By sunrise, the rain had stopped, but the world still felt heavy, like the calm before a storm that refused to end. The guest house smelled of dust and secrets. Kelechi sat by the cracked window, his pistol on the table beside him, watching the empty road. Daniela lay on the mattress behind him, her head on a folded jacket, her eyes on the man who had traded peace for her. "Do you regret it?" she whispered. He turned. "What?" "Running. Choosing me." Kelechi smiled faintly, that quiet, unreadable smile. "Every man regrets something. But not this." She reached for his hand. "I don't want to keep hiding. I want a life. Even if it's small. Even if it's far from everything I knew." He squeezed her fingers gently. "You don't know what a small life costs." "I don't care," she said. "As long as it's with you." Before he could reply, the faint crunch of tires outside made them both freeze. Kelechi grabbed the gun, moved to the window. Through the gap, he saw them, two SUVs, black, official, cutting through the wet mud. Her father. "Daniela," he whispered sharply, "get down." She crawled closer. "No, I'm not leaving you." "Don't argue," he said firmly. "If anything happens, you run. There's a path behind the building that leads to the road. Don't look back." But she didn't move. "I'm done running from my own father." The first SUV stopped. Her father stepped out, flanked by policemen. "Kelechi," he shouted. "You think you can hide my daughter forever?" Kelechi walked out slowly, gun lowered, hands visible. "She came with me willingly." Her father's eyes blazed. "You ruined her life. You used her to get to me." "I never wanted revenge," Kelechi said quietly. "I just wanted to be free of what your company did to me. Your daughter, she was never part of the plan." "But she became part of you," Daniela said, stepping out from behind the doorway, her hair wild, her voice trembling but sure. "And I don't care who hears it. I love him, Daddy." The world seemed to stop. The policemen exchanged glances, unsure of what to do. Her father's anger flickered, replaced by something deeper. Pain, fear, loss. "Daniela, get in the car," he ordered. "No," she said softly. "You've controlled my life long enough." Kelechi's gun hung loosely in his hand, but he didn't raise it. Sir, he said gently, if you want to punish someone, punish me. But she's not a child anymore. Let her choose. Her father's jaw worked. Rain began again, soft this time, washing over their faces. The silence stretched until finally, her father sighed and looked away. If you leave with him, you're no longer my daughter, he said hoarsely. Daniela's voice broke. Then I'll still love you from afar. He turned, entered his car, and drove off. The police didn't follow. The road swallowed the sound of engines until only rain remained. Kelechi dropped the gun and exhaled shakily. You just burned every bridge you had. She stepped closer, touching his face. Then build me a new one. He smiled weakly. You don't even know what comes next. I don't need to, she said. We'll find work. Maybe start over in another city. As long as I wake up beside you, that's enough. He cupped her face, eyes soft. Under his roof, I was your driver. Under mine, he paused, kissed her gently. You'll be my world. The rain poured harder, soaking them both. But neither moved away. Because in that storm, after all the danger, the lies and the running, they'd finally stopped being afraid. And though the world might never understand them, love, stubborn and reckless, had found a